Happy 2-year anniversary! Let's go. Well, if you would believe it, last video I posted, I said I was gonna make a big return, and then the months came and went. Well, consider this, I guess, another return video to celebrate my 2-year anniversary here. I guess I'm just gonna ramble, and then I'll cut this all down, and then I'll figure out how I'm gonna be able to put this all together. I've got jazz in the background while recording this.
You like jazz?
Just to try to get into the hang of things. It's been so long since I've sat down and recorded something, so it's sort of crazy how fast the time has gone by. In fact, I actually made this overlay. It's like several months old by now. I took the time to put together the window, and the old webcam of Boston skyline that was viewed earlier is just gone. They shut it down. But at least now you get a nice view of the Prudential Tower and the John Hancock building. It's way more... Oh, there's a red line. Everyone say hello to the train. No more boats. Well, good morning. I figured I'd make this as a retrospective of how the past 2 years have gone, even though I have not done a lot of in terms of doing streaming or recording videos the past few months. I think it was necessary for me to take a step back and evaluate what my priorities are. What are my motivations? What do I want to get out of this? If that makes any sense. Like, how do I want to continue to pursue further down the VTuber rabbit hole that I've been stuck in for the past 2 years? I guess it's like weird to think about, like, where did I start? Because 2 years ago, greetings citizens, or hello, Ohio, good afternoon. I was using animes for my face tracking. VTube Studio had existed, but it was only for iPhone usage, and I still don't have an iPhone. That's still something on my plate that I am interested in picking up because the technology is not greatly improved for my capabilities. I don't have an NVIDIA graphics card to be able to utilize the new features, but from what I understand, it seems like iPhone is still the de facto standard. But it's so wacky to think of like how rough it was in the beginning in terms of like facial tracking, and how many people were VTuber fans. Now seeing how far it's come and how high of a fidelity it has to actually mirroring face movements. I guess maybe it helps as sort of a 2-year retrospective that I go back through and think about the timeline of which I became a VTuber, and then also evaluating where I go from here. Go back, if I think about it, November 2000 was when I fell down the rabbit hole. It was like a bunch of different features at the same time. Like, I had followed a bunch of artists on Twitter who were all sort of at the same time also making the switch to becoming VTubers and streaming as VTubers with their own artwork as their models. I was also seeing more and more fan art of Hololive. I remembered this animation of Pekora made by KU earlier today, and then of course Hololive English had come out, but I had not seen the debuts. I had seen a few weeks after the debuts, after hearing that Gura had skyrocketed in popularity. Oh, and I guess another thing was I had found out an artist I used to follow on DeviantArt had become a well-known VTuber. Not gonna say who, but I'm sure you could figure out for yourself. They were a big inspiration for me, and hearing that they had gone on to success was, wow. It was super cool to see that glow up. I've already wanted to do streaming. I'd streamed with my face for a few times, but I had not been like totally comfortable with being on camera, and it was something that I thought, oh, I'll just get used to this in time. And then VTubing came along, and that was sort of like a nice in to be able to get used to being on camera without having to worry about all of the other things that come with showing your face on the internet as a woman, and all the different types of comments that I remember getting when I was first doing face cam streams. Those are unpleasant times and is a larger conversation, although one that is still, I think, ongoing when I think about like current stuff. Anyway, that's for another day. But I'll admit, I was naive because there was also a part of me that thought, oh, if I just get a VTuber model and be able to stream immediately, I will be able to get some sort of following from that and just be able to launch. I had been wanting to do a debut stream when I started. I had purchased myself from Nizima, an online Japanese marketplace for VTuber models. I had purchased the model like beginning of January 2021 from Nizima, and then had plans in the background to like get set up and put together a debut stream like more traditionally. And then by the time February 14th came around, I thought, you know what? I've been sitting on this for too long. There's no real point for me to do a debut stream when I've got nothing to show for it. Or like no real stuff to back up. I want to just like get head started and just really dive into this thing. And that's what started with the video that I made. And I may or may not have been pushed to do that because VTuber auditions had been happening this whole time. Actually, it's sort of crazy to think, but I had also applied to be a VTuber at one of these agencies like in December. And that was my first like foray back into like, I had done facecam streaming. I then wanted to get a gaming computer in November 2020. At the same time falling down the VTuber rabbit hole, one of the agencies announced a VTuber audition with a deadline in January, which got me back to testing out streaming just in general without showing my face. And then I purchased my own model, thought I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And then another audition was announced. And so I tried for that. Those audition tapes are somewhere and they will never see the light of day. But that push for the second VTuber audition that I was really geared for also was like my head start to how quickly can I build up like a content library? How quickly can I like really get into the thick of it? So for like I forget how long it was, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I was setting myself a goal of like the second the audition was announced, I'm going to start uploading every day and in hopes of having enough videos by the time the month passes. And I did that, which is what happened with this channel initially and why I was like pursuing it. I look back on that time, I think I was crazy. I wish that I had that drive though, to be like, I'm gonna do it every single day. And I was editing all those videos at the same time. So it was just this constant cycle of like, I would be recording and then editing that same video like a few hours later. I was getting so much to think of it, I was like running out of footage to record. And then the second that the deadline for the audition passed up, it was like everything changed. I had thought I spent a lot of time editing. I want to look into changing up my editing software. I want to try automating stuff. Maybe I'll reach out to a different person to be an editor. And it was sort of around this point that like it more or less like fell apart. Not like just like the flywheel that I had put myself on had like slipped because automation turned out to be a bit of a waste of time. Every time I've tried to like automate and like just like generate a shorter video that I can comb through and be able to handpick certain scenes, just like get rid of all the blank spaces or whatever. Like every time I've tried animation, it's just not worked out. It just doesn't have the natural finesse of like just going through the footage myself at twice speed and doing it, which is sort of an admission that like this will have to take a while for me to do, but it's the only way. Unless the promise of AI makes that so much smoother, which is happening. AI is crazy right now. As far as like working with editors, it's just not something that I think I am suited to doing at this time. It's more like I think I should continue to understand where I want my videos to go and then communicate with people to be like, match these videos, and that'll be cool. But at that point, I was still super motivated to do streaming. At this point with the video making, it was much more efficient for me to just sit by myself and record gameplay, and then the second I was done, shut it off, edit the video, put it out there. I did a lot of ASMR stuff like once a week whenever I could because ASMR required very little editing, and it was like the highest associative search on my YouTube analytics, so it's like, okay, cool. I will take advantage of the fact that it's really fast for me to turn around an ASMR video than any other video that I have on my channel, even though I don't know if I'm particularly suited to ASMR. I don't think I've got the voice for it, at this point in time at least. But maybe you could let me know if I've got the sultry tones to be in the leagues. So at this point though, while I'm like trying to figure out both like coordinating with editors and also learning how to do automation to speed up my editing process and also changing to a new video software, I was still super motivated to do streaming in hopes of accumulating this footage and then eventually putting them into YouTube videos. It ended up being that none of that footage ever got edited. Unfortunate. I have it though, and I finally moved it to a hard drive. It is obscenely huge, but I do think it'll be fun to go through it. Especially considering quite some time has passed. And I'm super motivated to do streaming because I now understand that what I love the most about the idea of being a content creator in this field is just the ability to give myself an excuse to do wacky stuff. I just feel like if I was living a day-to-day, there wouldn't be a time where I'd walk by a whole shelf of Pop-Tarts and think, I'm gonna buy every single one of those just for fun, and then work my way through all of them. So I've got 28 different types of instant ramen. I like the idea of giving myself an out to just try stuff, because I feel like it's not worth it if I'm not documenting it. And I think that's where my motivation to continue to be a VTuber is being able to just put myself out there and make interesting choices. And hopefully, over time, those choices will become more and more interesting beyond just what are the like dozen types of foods to try. But yeah, that's sort of my motivation. And then cut to Easter of 2022. Let's see, what's the last thing? When I look back in my notes, I wonder if the last like big thing I did was the Pop-Tarts taste test. Welcome, pizza party people. Welcome to the Pop-Tarts tasting stream. I think that was actually the thing that started it all. Well, the beginning of the end, if you will, because not long after I had done the Pop-Tarts taste test, I had done that stream where I tasted every single Pop-Tarts flavor that I had at my disposal. In one setting, it was 11 p.m. at night by the time I finished that, and I was just so hopped up on sugar, and then Easter happened, and I had more sugar, yada, yada, yada. I ran into some health problems. Probably not all that surprising when I think back on that period. And also like the lead up to that moment, but it was like, man, I really gotta make sure that I do something about my health. I'd gotten like an exercise bike to try to do stuff. I tried doing one stream inspired by Brian David Gilbert, who does these Twitch streams of himself exercising while playing a video game. Tried to do that myself. Man, that was way more difficult than I'd ever give it credit for. And resulted in this YouTube clip of Tori ASMR where I'm just heavy breathing. But I'm happy to say that over the past several months, I have done something about my health. I am in a much better state than I was over the past year. I'm much more mindful about the food that I eat and its nutritional intake. Maybe I'll do a separate video. It's sort of interesting to talk about these things as a VTuber, considering like I look the exact same as I did a year before, so I have to take my word for it that I do feel a lot better about myself. There's sort of like a whole benefit to my psyche over the past year or so. Honestly, for the past several months, even though I haven't been doing like really anything in terms of video creation, I've just moved everything that I've had to a hard drive so I can actually use my desktop computer and be able to record stuff like this without constantly running out of space. The constant stress of doing that. But I have not once stopped thinking about VTubing or not like kept up to date. It is still a fond hobby for me. It's still a fun experience. It's still a cool community to watch and grow, and one that I want to continue to pursue doing in the future. As far as moving forward, I think I'd love to be able to do videos once a week on Tuesday. I think that is attainable. I think that is more attainable than once every day, but we'll see how it goes. I definitely have plenty of footage, a bunch of which is very old and if you've never seen before. So look forward to that coming in the future. Yeah, here's to another 2 years. Anyway, I guess I'll see you in the next video in 5 months from now. Bye!